Welcome to Ask GMBN, where we have got some great questions this week that we're going to get stuck into. So Doddy, let's get right into it. First question is from Sterling Williams, and he wants to know, should I bother putting tokens in my dirt jump 100mm forks?
Well, that's entirely up to the way you want them to feel. You could run them really firm. They will have a slightly more linear feel to run tokens. The benefit of running tokens is the fact they'll ramp up nicely and you still get a little bit of grip and traction. So I'd probably say yes. Yeah,
and you've done a little bit of investigation, and a lot of the top dirt jump riders, they are using a lot of tokens in their fork.
Yeah, so Seminic a couple of years back was running 5 tokens, which is a lot in a short travel fork.
Yeah, so it could be worth trying. Could be worth trying. Okay, next question. Hans Dieter says, what should I do if my chain slides at jumps from the chainstay between the tyre and the frame and get stuck there? So dropping down in between.
So that's like chain suck.
Yeah, old-fashioned chain suck.
Proper than the 90s, that is.
Yeah.
It could be the fact that your chain is too long, or perhaps you're using too much of a slack gear. So maybe small chainring at the front and a small sprocket at the rear. Yeah. So I would address that first. You know, make sure you're using your gears properly. Yeah. You want the maximum amount of tension on your bike at all times, really.
Yeah, but it's unfortunately something chain suck we don't suffer with that much these days.
We don't really see it often.
No. So we've moved on.
We have. Do you remember Shimano used to make an anti-chain suck thing called a shark fin?
Yes, I do. Sat on the back, scooped up. Yeah, I used to like them. They looked good.
So you can still get them on eBay. So
yeah, I might put one on my wheelchair. It'd make me feel faster. Yeah. Okay. Jacob Zimmerman says, should I upgrade my hardtail fork or drivetrain? Okay, so a bit of a choice here. He's got a 1x10 drivetrain, but he's got a budget fork.
Well, personally, if the drivetrain's fine, I'd continue running that until you've worn it out. There's no point replacing that. So I would replace your fork or start saving up to replace your fork. Yeah,
I agree with that. And while we're talking about, I mean, 1x drivetrain is really great, feels really modern. While we're talking about that, why don't we take a look at 1x versus 2x drivetrain?
Many riders have ditched their front mech and now rely on just one single chainring and a wide ratio cassette.
But there is still room for that 2x drivetrain. In this video, we're going to take a look at 1x versus 2x.
"2K Radio 321 asks, can you put a downhill fork on a hardtail and would you ride it?
You know what? I have done this and it's horrible. Really horrible. I did it on a trials bike, so a tiny little frame, but quite a long frame, so it sort of worked, but a very high front end. It could do a couple of things all right, like dropping into a down slope on rocks, so you had a nice high front end for that, but it did everything else terrible. I gotta be honest, I wouldn't recommend it. It's a weird feeling, and yeah, your geometry's all wrong. Don't do it.
That's a firm no then.
Yeah.
Billy Mays asks, when did you guys start mountain biking?
What, long time ago for me? 1989 I started mountain biking.
Yeah, not far after for me. I think 91 was my first sort of event festival thing I went to at the Malverns.
UK classic event. It was a good event to start at, you're lucky. I reckon Neil was probably 95 or 96, something like that.
Maybe earlier. But
yeah, I don't know, something like that. He's quite young actually, Neil. He's younger than he looks. He's not aged well. And then we've got Blake, who is 2005, something like that. I remember doing an event in 2005, something like that, and Blake came over and asked for my autograph and signed a wallet for him.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's very cool.
That makes me feel really old. Let's move on from this question. I've got one from you, for you, Doddy. Samayo W, who's a regular, hello again, says, could we see a direct drive system on bikes like the BMW version on motorbikes?
Yeah, it's kind of many moons back. Christini, I'm not sure actually where they're from, they made a 2-wheel drive bike using shaft drive. So on the rear axle, had like a worm drive set up really. I've got a feeling it was quite heavy though, the system, and it's quite limited. Yeah. But they still do make bikes using that system, but it's not a complete shaft drive. Right. So they use a regular drivetrain, and then they have a shaft drive to connect the front wheels. So it's still 2-wheel drive bikes. Yeah. And they've just made a 2-wheel drive fat bike. Oh, imagine traction on that thing.
Oh, I'd love to have a go on that.
I would love to have a go actually.
It's a weird one. Soban Ahmed says, when I pedal hard, my chain just skips and I just don't get the grip on the cranks. Why is that?
That could be a number of things. So check your bike out first before you go pedaling hard. You want to check your chain isn't worn out or has any stiff links in it, because that can make the chain jump on the sprockets.
Yes, that's horrible when that happens.
Check your jockey wheels to make sure they've got like the definitely serrated edges on them. Yeah. Make sure your chainring's not worn out. Yeah. have your pedals got enough grip on? There's a whole number of things that could be really process of elimination to check safely your bike, really.
Yeah, I've had it loads of times. You get a little stiff link and you just go to pedal, it's like whack, and it goes. Oh, it's the worst. Shin yourself.
Yeah, be careful.
Check it out. Morgan Simmons, how on earth do I hold a manual? Do I need to go to a Shaolin temple and meditate for 5 years and then I'll be able to do it? Well, you know, a manual just needs one thing, really, doesn't it? It just needs lots of practice. You know,
practice makes perfect.
Yeah, once you've found that sweet spot, you'll be able to do it everywhere, and it feels great. It's worth spending the time on. I bet you love doing manuals on pump tracks and stuff.
I do now, yeah, but it took a long time to learn.
Yeah,
so
it does take a while. But while we're on it, let's take a look at this video that Neil made on how to manual like a pro.
So, how to manual. What we're looking at doing is lifting the front wheel up the right way. It doesn't have to be very big to begin with. We will talk about that real cool trick of holding the front wheel for a little time, but that's in a bit.
Right, Ewan Johns wants to know, are Shimano brake levers interchangeable with Shimano calipers and hoses?
Technically they are, yeah. The official line really is, as long as the hoses are the same, basically, then it will be compatible. We've seen quite a lot of different ones over the years, like XCR levers on Saint calipers, like a lot of downhill guys like that. So yes, you can.
Yeah, nice. Sebastian Pouzon says, I had to change my front brake pads twice in 2 weeks because of contamination. I lubed my bike very carefully, but it seems to get oiled. That's kind of interesting. But he does say at the end, I transport my bike on a car rack often. Could that be the reason? Now, when I first mentioned this to you, you said he's probably got a leaky brake.
That would make sense, but the car rack does add something else into the equation.
Because if the bike's on the back of the car and like the front's hung down low, maybe he's getting some oil off of the exhaust of the car.
Yeah, that's a very good point, actually.
So, maybe worth checking out your setup on the bike rack. If not, you've got to look. You've got to look for a leak in one of those hoses.
Yeah, and try the little banjo on the brake itself, so it can leak the tiniest bit, just enough to ruin your brake pads.
Yeah, a bit of investigation. Let us know if you get it sorted out.
Yeah.
Kurakibi Yuki says, what does it mean if your shock gets hot on downhill tracks?
Well, I think all shocks will get hot on a downhill track. It's just as they're cycling, the oil gets hot, which is why some have extra oil space in the form of piggybacks. Right, Nothing to worry about, but you probably don't want to be grabbing your shock with your hand after a long run.
Don't grab it right afterwards to check. Maybe give it a minute. And Pavel is asking, what is more important in MTB wheels? Even spoke tension or trueness of wheel?
Well, they kind of go hand in hand. If you've got straight wheel with uneven spoke tension, it won't be straight for long.
Right.
So ultimately, you've got to have even spoke tension to maintain a straight and true wheel.
Yeah. Now, what this question makes me think, Pavel, is that you need to watch our how to straighten a wheel video. So let's take a look at that. Maybe there's some tips, and you won't need to worry.
Building and straightening bike wheels is often thought as a bit of a dark art, but it's doable to the average bike mechanic with some logical thinking. This is our beginner's guide to straightening your bike wheels. Quick fire round!
Right, Doddy, you ready?
Yeah.
Right, here we go. Christoph Bernard says, you should make a GMBN stem cap.
That's a great idea. I think we should as well.
We definitely should. We should look into that. Curtis Williamson, is there any point in fitting a 1x system to my trail bike because it only has a 9-speed cassette?
I ran 1x9 for years. As long as your riding locally to you isn't too hilly, go for it.
Go for it. Right. Garner 200, what happened to the onion? Aha.
Why does everyone ask about the onion?
Well, still don't know what you don't need to ask anymore because it be dead. It died. I'm sorry about that. Alex Davidson says, should I wax my chain? What?
Yeah, you can do that if you want. It's very popular with roadies. Guess it depends on the conditions you're riding.
Wow, I've never heard of waxing a chain before. Okay. Kai Wilson says, how come when I get to the bottom of a downhill track, my fingers and wrists are super stiff and sore? Because you just did downhill, dude. That's what happens. Brendan Rose says, do I need a neck brace to go with my full face helmet?
You don't need one, but it is a good idea. They're very safe.
Yeah, yeah, they're really cool. And they look awesome. And you can put stickers on them. Yeah. Do it. NZ Adventures, can you do a game of bike video? Yes. Yes, we haven't done one with you yet.
I've not been in one yet.
I can't wait. I can't wait. Charles Holland, can you do more videos on vintage bikes?
Yeah,
yes.
Definitely.
Easily, yes. Yeah. Moth the Boss says, will my bike look weird with mirrors? Will my bike look weird with mirrors?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't know, I can't go anywhere from that. Yes. That's the end. Quick fire out. Kadoosh. Time for Correct Me If I'm Wrong, where we're going to take a look at some people's techniques and see if we can adjust it. First one is from Chris Scroggins, who's riding through this set of trails. He can't quite get the last jump, so take a look at this, Doddy. What can he do to clear this final jump? He's got good form through that first one, clears that one nice. Oh, and he just sort of runs out of energy on that second one.
Let's have another hit of that.
As he comes through, it's good there. Picks the front up high, drops it in, and it just feels like he's not getting much out of that takeoff on the last jump.
I feel like he could approach the first one with a little bit more speed, because it didn't look like you're over jumping that.
Yeah.
And then really push into the takeoff for that second jump, and that'll just give you that extra bit of pop, I think.
Yeah, and I've got to say as well, the takeoff on that last jump isn't great. No. So it's not entirely you. The takeoff's not brilliant, but it really feels like if you commit to it like you did on that middle jump, where you really pick that front end up, you'd probably get that front over and you could get a look and get down into the downslope. So I think it's all there, just a little bit more speed, Chris. That's all it's going to need.
Got a great one here from Thomas Van Houten. I tried to record a progression session, but I kind of stuck here. Every time he's doing a manual, he's getting the front wheel to come up. Yeah. He feels like he's falling backwards, so he's got to correct it with his hips or his back brake. So have a look and see what you think of this one. Okay,
it's progressing, it is progressing. Oh, it's
pretty
doing well,
good,
actually, yeah.
He's got the movement just right.
I think it's looking pretty good. I mean, what would be the first thing you'd say?
I'd probably say try and dip your heels just that little bit. Yeah. Because you're getting the good leg extension to drive the bike out in front of you. Yeah. And you're moving the body backwards and forwards.
I would say take it to a little downslope, because it looks like you've got the movement. I think that's going to naturally bring those heels down, and you'll find you'll get a much longer manual. But you're really close. It's looking really good. It'd be really great to see how that develops, so make sure you send us another video. Now, if you'd like to be in Correct Me If I'm Wrong, why don't you send us a video to ask@gmbn.com, and of course you can leave your questions down below for next week's Ask GMBN. Thanks for watching, and if you want to see some more videos from GMBN, why don't you click just here to see clips versus flats, see how that turns out.
Yeah, and if you want to learn how to ride steep trails with Trahan Chidley, check down here.
Nice, and click on the logo to subscribe. You get a brand new video every day of the week, and there's only one thing left to do. You know it. Give us a thumbs up, like.